I'm self-taught. As with everything, I just gradually morph into it. If I make mistakes, I don't make them twice. I try not to. I was born about 2 blocks up that way on Cliff Street in Yarmouth. That was in 1945, so I'm a war baby. My dad was a jeweler, but my mom was a better jeweler, really, when it comes to hand fashioning things. As a jeweler, you can imagine most of his time was spent with repairs. He had a hobby, which was he used to buy settings such as this one, and then he would take our Nova Scotia agate and amethyst and so on and make jewelry out of it, and we sold it through the store. And actually that's where I became involved in it myself. Standing behind your dad is a great way to learn. My dad wouldn't let me touch anything, but he'd let you stand behind him and watch what he was doing. I began making the stones. That's cabochon stones. I began making those probably in 1958. I was only 13 or 14 years old. I used to travel with my dad, with my brothers, to go rock hunting for the agates and so on. And then when we came home, all of us participated in cutting the stones and making them suitable for jewelry. And that's how I got my spending money, 35 cents a stone. I didn't stay with it, and I was pretty eclectic anyway. I did a lot of different things, but they all seemed to morph together because skills you learn doing one thing become skills that you can use in another. In 2010, I was traveling and we went to Parsboro, Nova Scotia, where they have an annual Nova Scotia Mineral and Gem Show they have there. And my father began that. He began the society and he began that show. We went to the show, and when we walked through the door, there was virtually nothing Nova Scotia about it. There were no stones that were Nova Scotia made, and most of it was just, let's say, manufactured jewelry that you could buy. So I thought, that's not good. So I came home, started to make just stones, and the following year I arrived with all kinds of stones, polished stones ready to be used. People come from all over eastern Canada and eastern United States. It's a good spot. When I went there, there was hardly anybody doing local stuff. But very quickly, we had people from PEI, people from Nova Scotia and so on showing up and even setting up their equipment and doing it there. So now, I'd say 75 to 80% of it is small guys like me. Well, I'm very, very pleased to see that. It's called the Nova Scotia Mineral and Gem Show. And we just celebrated our 50th anniversary just several years ago. There's quite a few people that do this as an amateur. Outside of Halifax, there are 160 people in the province that were doing agate jewelry. That's not including Halifax. People help each other out. I mean, I'm free with my stuff. I give it to everybody, and they're free with their stuff. They give it. I just had a person arrive here from California. He wanted to come up and visit, and he walked in with a huge bucket of stones. He said, "They're for you." I was amazed. Lapis lazuli. It's one of the oldest stones that's recorded. It's one of the ones recorded in the Bible. It's difficult to get. A stone that I work in most is agate. It's very hard. For measuring stone, there's a hardness scale that runs from less than 1 to 10. Less than 1, you'd have talc, or like talcum powder. 10 would be diamond. Agate will run between 6.5 and 8.5. It's the same mineral as quartz, basically. One thing that Nova Scotia has an abundance of is agate. Colors vary. In Nova Scotia, there are browns, yellows, reds, blues even, grays, whites. For the sake of sales, I'll build or I'll make stones that are oval or round or square or something like that, but I don't like to do that. What I like to do is I like to do odd-shaped stones. When I was a boy and working for my dad, I would go upstairs, and my father was one of his criticisms. He says, "You waste too much time." I would go up there and spend half the morning trying to grind out a heart, which is very difficult to do. It's not the shape, but it's the contours that really hard to do and to polish. And I bring it down very proud, and I'd show it to him, and he'd say, "Yeah, John, that's really nice, but I don't have a setting that will go in, so I can't pay you." My own style, rather than have a setting that I have to make a stone to fit, I make the stone first and then make the setting to fit the stone. So I can have any shape, any odd shape for a stone. I love them when they're a droplet offset. I do like that. But I make earrings, rings, bracelets, pendants, you name it. I've tried it. It used to be that speed was really important with me to make stones, because time is money. And I got really good fast at making stones. I could make 45 stones in a day. Well, if you're going to do that, you got to make set shapes, round, oval, squares, things like that. And if you're going to do 45, you do them all the same. 45 that are round, they're all 5mm or whatever. If I want to take my time and go down and I have a stone that I picked up that I like a lot, I'll do it whatever shape I feel like. I've been shipbuilding probably since my dad died, so about 1995. Maybe a little bit sooner than that. When I build a boat model, it takes a long time because I build all the parts. And I build it like a real ship from scratch. All the ribs, frames, keel, the whole thing. It's an ongoing process. It's not like an agate stone or something like that, which you can do in a night. But it's something that if you go to the garage, you got it set up, and you can do a little bit on it, then put a plastic bag or something over it and go in the house and sit down and do something else. Or put it away for a while. I've only built a few, 10 maybe. Most of them are here in this house, but there's some in Dartmouth and in Halifax. There's one in the museum, and there's one in the town hall. Some of them, they were being built at the same time. It gets really tedious if if all you're doing is putting one more rib on, and maybe I don't want to do 500 ribs in a row. So I'll be working on another boat model and at a different stage. It's enjoyable that way.
How do you feel about Yarmouth as a creative community?
I think it's a very creative community. And it's a grassroots creative community. It draws other people in, but it has its own creative roots.
What about your creative future? You've got quite a few hobbies. Do you see yourself hop into another one?
Well, I think right now it's going back to ones that have been dormant for a long, long time. I've got a lot of things that either they got broken at some stage or whatever. I like to have them all fixed up before I can't do it anymore. For instance, the clocks. The clocks are really hard to keep going forever because a lot of them have wooden gears. And the wooden gears, they break or they warp. And you got to fix them. So those need to be done. And I like to do glass work. and I'd like to get back to that. So, sure, there'll be a lot of things to do. You should never be inhibited by not knowing how to do something. Never. If you want to do something, just do it. If you break something or if it doesn't work, just go on. Pick it up and don't do the same thing twice. Be creative. Do what you can do. I don't think channeling yourself into one skill is the greatest thing in the world. There are so many things you can do. And my family's been in this for a very long time. Great-great-grandfather came here to Nova Scotia, and he was a school teacher like me. But he also, when he got into his latter years and didn't teach school any longer, he fixed watches. And don't let people, and people will do that, don't let people who are jealous, will basically say some offhand remark about what you're doing. You do it for you. You're not doing it for other people. Don't limit yourself, no.